Do you ever catch yourself wondering why you ache so deeply? Why, even on days when nothing is obviously wrong, there's that heavy pressure in your chest, a sense that something isn't lining up inside. Maybe you've sat in silence to meditate, soaked up well-meant advice from friends, or tried to push through by acting fine. Still, the hurt hangs around, quiet, steady, like a dim companion that never leaves. Here's what most people won't say out loud. The bulk of that hurt isn't coming from traffic, bills, or your inbox. It's rising from inside. The pieces of yourself you won't look at, the parts you sidelined or pushed into storage. Carl Jung once wrote, "What you do not bring to consciousness returns as fate." That's the pattern at work here. Life keeps holding up a mirror and we keep looking away. So we run. We cover it with distractions, numbing habits, or relationships that feel full for a moment and hollow right after. We repeat, "It'll blow over." But it doesn't, does it? Pain doesn't like being buried. It wants to be understood. This isn't a quick fix pep talk or a bag of canned affirmations. I'm not here to hand you slogans. I'm here to nudge, maybe shove, you toward what you've been hiding even from yourself. Give me a few minutes. Stay with me. I'll walk you through why the hurt sticks around and what begins to shift it. No tricks, just awareness. Maybe you feel like you've hit bottom. Maybe you're inches from burning out, laughing in public, collapsing inside. Maybe you've gone so long carrying pain that you treat it like normal background noise. Wherever you are, I have a hard thing to say. The suffering drags on because you haven't yet faced its root. Jung spent his life exploring that inner wilderness, the darker corners of the human soul. He saw that only those willing to move through their own night find a real light on the other side. If you're ready to look, I'll make you one promise. When you reach the end of this conversation, you won't see yourself exactly the same way. What we uncover can change how you relate to your pain and to your own freedom. So, let's start. Most of us blame the outside world first. My boss is impossible. My partner doesn't get me. There's never enough money. Everyone expects too much. And yes, all of that lands heavy. Of course it does. But the deep, draining suffering, the kind that wears you down even when things are quiet, shows up when you lose contact with who you really are. Jung warned that one of the great losses of the soul is to live out a life that isn't truly yours. And that's what many of us slowly slip into. From childhood on, we're coached to fit the group, play nice, hit the marks, not rock the boat. Bit by bit, we step away from our own center. We build a version of ourselves designed to please, to stay safe, to keep approval coming. Desires get muted, feelings get stuffed, anger is swallowed, sadness is held underwater. After years of this, you wake up carrying a hurt you can't even name. It doesn't shout, it erodes. That's the ache of living out of sync. It's the disorienting moment of looking in the mirror and feeling like you're meeting a character rather than the person you came here to be. You may be fluent in the role that won you acceptance, but your deeper self notices the gap. It signals anxiety, sleepless nights, flatness, guilt. Emotional pain is the warning siren of self-betrayal. Let's clear up a few confusions. It isn't failure that cuts you. It's the cardboard story of who you thought you had to be. It isn't being alone that stings. It's reaching for yourself in the quiet and realizing you're not sure who that is anymore. It isn't other people who keep wounding you. It's the moment you leave yourself behind to keep an image alive. As long as that split holds, the hurt will recycle, because you're putting bandages on what looks like an outside wound while the real tear is on the inside. Here's the core takeaway. This pain is not a life sentence. It's a signal flare. Jung saw suffering as the opening move in real change. When it hurts enough, we finally turn toward what we've buried. That turning, bringing what's hidden into the light of awareness, is where healing begins. Pain's job is to point you back to where you belong, back to yourself. It starts doing that the moment you quit dodging it and actually pay attention. Listen for what got pushed underground, hushed up, or simply left behind. In the next section, we're going to lean into the most feared yet most freeing power inside a person, the side Carl Jung called the shadow. It scares us because it holds what we don't want to see, but it also holds the doorway to mending. If you honestly want relief from the misery that keeps circling back, you'll need to meet this part. Stay with me. And hey, if these ideas land for you, hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming. Thanks for being here. You want the hurting to end, yet you keep wrestling with the surface stuff. You swing at the symptoms: worry, shame, bursts of anger, blue moods, as if they were pests to swat. The twist is that the real trouble isn't outside. It lives inside, quiet and tucked away, and that's why it's risky to ignore. Jung gave that hidden bundle a name: the shadow. No exceptions. We all carry one. What lives in that bundle? Anything you pushed out of sight, cravings you judged, feelings you were told were too much, anger you corked, sexuality you muted, drive you hid under polite modesty, fears you pretend aren't there. These pieces didn't vanish just because you refused them. They settled in the dark corners, and the less you acknowledge them, the more they run the show. Think about times you blew up out of nowhere, torpedoed a chance you had long wanted, or abruptly walked away from a good relationship and couldn't say why. That's the shadow getting a hand on the steering wheel. It slips into your thinking, colors your moods, nudges your choices, often while you swear you're just unlucky. Jung warned that whatever remains unseen inside, you will pilot your life, and you'll give it names like fate, karma, bad breaks. Maybe what keeps hurting you isn't random at all. Maybe it's that unrecognized part pulling strings. It will keep doing so until you turn toward it. Turning toward it is hard. It asks for nerve. You have to admit things you'd rather deny. You have to drop the poor me script and concede that some part of you plays a role in your own pain. You have to see the creature in the basement, and then recognize it's not a demon from elsewhere. It's made of you. Here's the key shift. The shadow is not an opponent to crush. It's an exiled part of your inner family that still longs for a place at the table, to be noticed, heard, welcomed back. Jung didn't teach get rid of it. He taught bringing it in, working with it, letting its energy become clear sight, grounded strength, real personal power. What you push away drains you. What you reclaim can set you free. So what now that this hidden side is in front of you? Next, we'll map a brave path, the opening steps of true healing, and how you can begin gathering the scattered pieces of yourself. Seeing the shadow is only the first mile. What you choose to do with what you've seen is what changes everything. You've already come a long way. You notice the gap between who you are and how you live. You dared to look at what lurks in that gap, and you've glimpsed your shadow. Now comes the turning point, meeting it directly. Insight alone doesn't heal. It's the start. Mending calls for movement, bold, unfiltered, and yes, sometimes rough. This means walking straight through your inner fire with your eyes open. Jung was plain about it. The road back to yourself runs through territory most people refuse to cross. Courage here isn't the lack of fear, it's moving while afraid. Facing what's hidden feels like entering a dark landscape where your usual controls don't work. Masks fall off. The "I had no choice" story loosens. You face the fact that part of your suffering carries your own fingerprint. This takes fierce honesty. It means quitting the lies you tell yourself to stay comfortable. What does that look like in everyday life? Start by tuning into your body when your mind waves things away. That twist in your gut when you're with someone who isn't good for you. The tight chest that shows up each time you agree to something that shrinks you. The bone-deep tiredness that hits when you plaster on a smile you don't feel. These signals aren't there to punish you. They're alarms from the part of you that wants to protect, not wreck, your life. You don't have to fix everything at once. Begin small. Jot down your dreams when you wake. They often smuggle in messages from the parts you skip over in daylight. Notice what sets off strong feelings, Track those sparks. Sit with long-running patterns, the arguments that repeat, the jobs you leave the same way, the friendships that always end on a similar note. Each repeat may point to a hidden piece asking to be known. Keep going. Keep listening. Keep inviting back what you once shut out. That's the work that turns pain from a life sentence into a signpost home. Anytime life knocks you off center, it's sending a signal. Your deeper mind doesn't use plain words. It speaks in images and feelings. The job is to pause, stay present, and really hear what's being said, not to pat yourself on the back, but to face yourself honestly. One of the best ways to do that is with daily, uncensored writing. Sit with a notebook and spill everything you hesitate to admit. The thoughts that embarrass you, the fears you bury, the sentences you've never dared to say aloud. Once those lines leave the prison of silence, they lose their power to damage you. A second ally is the mirror of good therapy or skilled guidance. A trained listener helps you read the clues your mind keeps flashing. As Carl Jung reminded us, the unconscious isn't a junk pile. It's a living wisdom that wants to mend what's hurt, if you'll pay attention without excuses. Suffering only keeps pace with you when you try to outrun it. Stop, face it, and everything shifts. Pain, the thing we dread, is really a doorway. So why does it show up even when life looks fine? And how can it become the strongest partner in your freedom? Let's dig in. Most folks spend years dodging hurt. They reach for pills, scroll endlessly, chase quick thrills, collect trophies and cheerful posts, anything to stay numb. Here's the hard news. The more you fight pain, the tighter it clings. Pain isn't here to be erased, it's here to be heard. Jung saw it as a summons to grow. It signals that something inside is out of tune and needs care. Each ache carries a note, each worry a code. Treat pain as a guide, not an enemy. Think back. When has real change happened in comfort? Almost never. Chaos shakes the soul into rearranging itself. Walk all the way through the hurt, and only then does it lift. Picture someone who always pleases others, forever agreeable, forever smiling. Over time, crushing fatigue and unexplained sadness set in. Tests come back normal. Pills offer little relief. The body is shouting what the mind refuses to face. Living against your own truth hurts, and it will keep hurting until honesty returns. Or consider the person who repeatedly chooses distant partners, ending up feeling unwanted every time. That pattern isn't bad luck. It's a mirror reflecting an old wound, probably from early years, begging to be healed. Until it's met head-on, pain serves as the reminder. Once you start reading pain as a language, everything changes. What seemed like punishment turns into a compass needle. Hurt points the way. Paradoxically, attentive suffering can spark the deepest healing because it forces you to pause, to look, to transform. With that insight comes responsibility. Ignoring pain is ignoring yourself. Fleeing pain is abandoning yourself. Meet it with humility and curiosity, and it can lead you somewhere you never dreamed existed, a place of peace, not because life is flawless, but because you are finally whole. Ahead lies the far side of pain. What happens when you stop resisting and weave every rejected piece back into your story? Real healing isn't the disappearance of hurt, it's the turning of hurt into awareness. That discovery is waiting for you. After a long season of wrestling with yourself, something eventually turns. Not with thunderclaps or grand revelations, but with a quiet shift, like a faint breeze that ends up changing the weather inside you. It's the point where you stop pushing back, and maybe for the first time you start to feel put together. So, what is this feeling of being whole? It's saying yes to all of you, even the parts you've tried to banish. It's laying down the fight with your moods, giving up the chase to be flawless, retiring the masks. Your anger, fear, sorrow, embarrassment. The pieces you've stuffed in dark corners are still yours, still valid. When you fold them in instead of locking them out, something loosens, suffering thins. Carl Jung used the word individuation for this, not becoming special, but becoming yourself without warping the picture. A full, real person. The realness doesn't come from ego, it grows out of allowing what's true. It's less about finding yourself somewhere out there and more about uncovering who's been here all along. Only the ones willing to walk through the wreckage of their own inner life and rebuild what collapsed get there. At this point, you see you don't have to hide your hurt. It isn't your name tag. It was the road you walked, not the label you wear. Looking back, each crisis, each crash, each breakdown did something. It stripped away pretense, pried your grip off the illusion that you control everything, peeled what was fake so you could step dressed in what's real. Truth, though, is no cushioned chair. It leaves you uncovered. It asks you to be present. It asks you to choose. Once you've met your hidden corners, understood what pain was teaching, and felt the strength of living as your actual self, autopilot stops working. You start noticing who charges your batteries and who drains them. You quit swallowing what once seemed easier to accept than to speak up about. No comes without apology. Yes finally goes to you. This inward shift barely makes a sound, yet it changes everything. You're not inventing a brand new person. You're giving up the long habit of turning your back on who you've always been. And here's a discovery no one may have told you. You never had to be fixed to deserve love. You needed to welcome yourself, to step out of the scarcity story. The peace you hunted in the world had been waiting quietly inside. Careful, though. This is where a lot of people park the journey. The ache eases, old patterns soften, life runs more smoothly, and stopping there looks tempting. But there's another stretch ahead, one Jung saw as vital. Healing ripens when it flows outward as contribution. What will you do with your light now that you've crossed your night? How do you live once you're awake? That's what we'll explore in the closing part. It's the deliberate move to live differently, to do more than get by, to act with attention, purpose, and care for what and who is around you. Having come through your own rebirth, life now asks more of you. You can't unhear what you've heard. You felt the hard truths cut deep and you stayed. That alone sets you apart. Many turn away when truth stings. You didn't. So a choice stands in front of you. Keep looping the old patterns that drag you under, or, finally, take the wheel of your own life. However much you've hurt, whatever was done to you, the next move is yours. What really counts now is how you move forward with everything we've just explored. The hurt you've lugged around for so long can be turned into fuel. That hollow space you've tried to stuff with people, food, work, or noise can settle into a rich quiet where new life grows. The old wounds that stamped your history don't have to lock you in. They can become the launch pad for your deepest freedom. Here's the catch. Once your eyes open, you can't honestly close them again. Going back to "I didn't know" stops being cozy. You've been invited to show up in your life at a higher setting. Showing up there asks something of you. It asks you to stop turning on yourself, to stop settling for scraps, to stop hiding behind reasons, delays, and remembered fear. You don't have to feel totally prepared. Nobody ever is. What matters is a decision, renewed each day, to live on purpose, to meet your own reflection with steadiness, kindness, and straight talk, and then to follow through. Because insight that never reaches your hands and feet becomes a clever way to fool yourself. Carl Jung spoke of individuation, growing into a whole, integrated self, as work that unfolds across an entire lifetime. Maybe today you took your first honest stride on that path. Maybe you finally sensed you're not damaged goods. You're a work in progress. The pain wasn't payback. It was a signal flare from deep inside, calling you to return to who you really are. So tell me, Which part landed hardest for you? What truth rattled something loose? If this conversation stirred you, stretched you, or woke something that's been sleeping, don't pause here. The next video carries the thread forward. Let's keep going together. I'll meet you there.